KMC here. Hey, can't wait for you to listen to this chat that I'm doing with my friend Doug Wong. I met Doug when I first moved here about 8 years ago, and we met in chorus and we became friends. And he's such an interesting individual. I've never had time to just sit down and spend some real time with him to see, where he came from, how he came to Palm Springs. And I just enjoyed getting the opportunity to sit. So I'd like you to meet my friend, Doug Wong. Good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning. I see you've got your coffee.
I do. What do you have for me? What are you drinking?
I have a cocktail and a jalapeno popper.
Wow. People are going to think I'm so boring, but and a jalapeno popper.
Well, a girl's got to eat. And, this was on short notice. So I grabbed what I saw and I put it in my mouth.
Is that the name of your new book? I'm just wondering.
It would be a good title. I grabbed what I saw and I put it in my mouth.
Well, it's kind of why I'm friends with you. Because so here's to you. Good morning. And
good morning.
We're doing morning shoot today. So how are you doing? How are you doing?
Good. Yeah. I've got moisture in the brain with all this humidity, so that's not fun, but
affecting my hair a lot. You can see that's good. So you and I met, gosh, well, a long time ago.
2014.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I was a baby then.
And I didn't realize that you guys had just moved to the desert.
Were you already in chorus at that time?
We met in chorus.
That's where you and I met. Mark did a concert right before I arrived in Palm Springs. He moved here in January. There was a concert, and then I moved permanently later. It was weird.
Didn't see that. I met you guys January 2014.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, oh, wow. And what'd you think of me right away?
You look the same.
Shut up. I wish, honey. I wish. Well, it hasn't been that many years. It's been 8 years since I've been in town. So, but I had never done singing with a chorus before at all. I mean, growing up, I did instrumental music, which I still do. I still play in the band. And Mark, my husband, was always in the chorus in Chicago, and it was too far of a drive for me to invest to get into the city and all that stuff. And I liked singing. I just didn't like all it took to do it in Chicago. So when we moved here, it was like, hey, it's right here. It's, we can do something together. And then so that's where I first met you. And what brought you to singing? Have you done that in your life?
I started singing when I was young in grade school and high school. So I did competitive show choir and stage work. I played violin when I was a kid. None of it ever amounted to making money in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
I'm not even in any local paper. No, that's not true. I did make the local paper once here in the desert sun. That was kind of fun.
Well,
but
yeah, but the police said they weren't going to talk about that much more because,
we don't have room on the milk carton, so I guess we'll have to put you on the paper.
So what did you do that you had such notoriety in, that publication? I mean, wow.
I was singing in a small men's ensemble. Back then it was called Vocal Harmonics. And we were invited through Palm Springs Gaymen's Chorus to celebrate Donna's birthday.
Gotcha.
At the McCallum. Donna McMillan.
Yeah.
Right? And Audra McDonald was at the show, and Steve Martin was at the show. So the guys, we basically came out from the sides of the house, and then we essentially nabbed her off her seat and we brought her onto the stage.
Oh,
So our mutual friend Ron Wheeler and I had her arm in arm on either side. So that picture made it to the front page of the Desert Sun Life and Times section.
So was that like the first time you remember being in a publication ever in your life, or?
I tend to shy away from like a lot of attention. So,
So do you really mean that? Are you an introvert? Are you more of an introvert than an extrovert?
I know. Yeah, I feel like I actually am. I need more quiet time than I need socialization.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our friends think of me as that gregarious, really upbeat kind of person, but you know, that's just such a small fraction of
Who you are.
right. And when I'm outside of the home, I really enjoy being at home. I wouldn't say I'm a true introvert. My husband's a true introvert, right? But
Yeah.
but no, I like being quiet a lot.
Your interest in music is what you and I connected with. And what other things do you like outside of music that
Food.
yeah, oh, that's right. Okay, wait, first of all, that's right. You are like the food guru. So let's talk about that a little bit. What is your favorite kind of food? Or are there just too many? I mean, what?
Mm, there are a lot, and I think it just depends on like the mood that I'm in.
Okay.
I was allowed to travel at a really young age, so I got to experience a lot of cuisine. So food for me plays a really, it's an emotional thing for me. So I tend to gravitate towards things that bring back memories and experiences that I've had in the past, right? I'm adventurous, but I find myself craving things that I haven't eaten in a long time. So of course my heart is always with Chinese food. I mean, I could eat Chinese food every day. My parents owned restaurants when I was growing up, and we all worked at the restaurant illegally.
I don't want the Desert Sun to pick this up, but
Well, when you're 6 and greeting, customers, I mean,
hey,
how bad is that?
you had
It's
to
not,
make a living. Family.
I wasn't Cinderella.
What? So, because you like Chinese food so much, have you found that here in the desert that there's so many places that are really good, or
Yeah.
not so
Yeah.
good?
No, as I get older, I try not to be such a critic, right? And which is very opposite to how I grew up, because I was brought up to be just a judgy bitch, but so I'm really good at that. But when it comes to like food, I find if it makes me happy on that day at that time, then it did its job.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not a food critic, and I don't get paid to judge it, and it's not my job. And so I just try to keep it in perspective, and just try to find the happiness in that experience. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that it makes it a better experience for me. With that being said, though, I find that the best Chinese food is East Valley. In La Quinta and like Indio.
Yeah.
But that's a personal thing, though. It's a personal thing.
Yeah. You like to cook too, yes.
I do. I like cooking when I have time to cook.
So in your household, are you the cook?
I am the cook.
Does he enjoy your cooking?
I don't know.
Do you ever ask?
Yeah, of course I do. Larry does like what I make to eat and stuff like that, but we have very different eating habits, So
What does that
he's
mean?
he's mostly vegetarian.
Oh. But
and I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's still moving, I'll consider it, right? So
Fascinate me, my friend. You just fascinate me. Speaking of the Olympics, what's up with the Olympics?
what do you mean? What's up with that?
What are you enjoying a lot about the Olympics right now?
I enjoy being able to watch sports that I don't normally get to see, and I'm a fan of. And of course, you know,
So
the
what?
whole aesthetics of it all.
Oh, okay, got it.
Ah,
What's been interesting right now during these Olympics right now for you?
gymnastics is on.
Oh.
And I used to think, I think, when I was little, it might have been like a little dream of mine to be
Oh. Were
a
you
hot gymnast.
well? Were you athletic as a kid and growing up? Did you do sports?
Mm. I did play sports. I played basketball. I played badminton. I played a lot of different things. But was I good? I don't know.
How did you think you did? I mean, did you feel comfortable doing it? I never was comfortable doing it. So
I was very comfortable. I think I'm also competitive too by nature. So I think that helps. And when you're growing up and all your friends are playing, and you live out in the suburbs of Los Angeles, there's not much to do besides working at your parents' Chinese restaurant for free and playing basketball.
wow. Well, that's a great upbringing like that. I like that idea. When you were younger, what were your interests growing up? Did music come into your life? In,
I always wanted to be a surgeon.
ah,
I wanted to be a surgeon as soon as I could speak, I think. I wanted to be a surgeon, and then in high school, I completely flip-flopped and decided that I wanted to major in fine arts.
oh, so something must have happened.
I found fine arts. I found fine arts, and
You actually are fine arts. So I mean, that's what kind of music did you like listening to growing up? Did your family?
I have two older brothers. We're all 5 years apart.
Oh,
So, I had the opportunity to experience music in a lot of different decades, and plus growing up in a let's just call it a traditional Chinese home, even though I'm American born. I actually listened to a lot of Cantonese Hong Kong music. And my parents had a lot of different tastes in music too. They really liked music, American music from the 40s, 50s, 60s, all kinds of stuff. So really, I've got a lot of sound in my head, but I never really, and it's not to be disrespectful, but I just never took the time to know who is singing what and what is the name of the song. So oftentimes I'll hear things and I'll be like, oh, of course. And I'll know lyrics before I even know the name. I can't do that. I'm not good at that. I can't be like, oh, that's so-and-so and so-and-so.
oh, yeah.
Not good. I'm not good with those questions. I'm terrible. And plus I never understand what people are singing on the radio anymore. And, it just sounds like a bunch of just garble and rah.
I agree with that. Well, I felt like, growing up too, I just remember the tune, and I never paid attention to what they were saying. Like songs like Dark Lady, all of a sudden when you listen to what they're actually talking about, I'm like, what is that?
Makes no sense.
But the tune to me, I was like, I like this tune. This was great. It's Cher and whatnot. But
yeah, jazzy beat.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to find love at a very young age. So my boyfriend in high school would make me a lot of mixed tapes. Remember those mixed tapes?
Oh yeah.
Mixed tapes.
I love reading those. They were fun. They were fun.
They were super fun. And I was kind of a nerd growing up too. So that's why I never, I didn't really pay attention to like to listening to music. Music didn't change my life. But, he would make me like mixtapes like all the time. And so I guess like some significant artist, in the 90s for me would be like Erasure and Alanis Morissette and Tori Amos, 10,000 Maniacs, Depeche Mode, The Cure, all that stuff, but of course, since my brother is 10 years older, I listened, my very first concert that I ever went to, a Western concert, American concert, was the Jackson 5 at Dodger Stadium. It was weird, right? It's like, who goes to the Jackson 5?
How old were you?
Really, really small.
Yeah, you had to have been. I mean, wow.
I was probably like 6 or 7.
You still have good memories of that? Or just vaguely, or?
I have vague memories of the production, I don't remember the music. I remember the visuals.
Talk to me about other concerts you got to see, here that were, important to you or was fun for you. What kind of people did you see?
Oh, I loved Annie Lennox.
Yeah.
I saw Annie Lennox in San Diego. It was a very intimate concert. And, I believe the concert started at 8. And I remember her saying, "It's 8 o'clock, shut the doors. Nobody's allowed to come in. We're starting the show." And if you were late, you were done.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's the way it should be for everything. But
Well,
yeah. Well, that's her experience of like, what works for her, and she doesn't want any disruptions, and she wants to give the audience, what she wants. I kind of respect that. But I'm also that person who might be just right there 2 minutes too late because, we were parking or, something like that.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
It's a good show. I would go see her anytime.
Well, she is wonderful. I stopped listening to music in the early 80s because I discovered theater. And then I did nothing but listen to, Broadway and all that stuff to get myself up to date. I didn't do theater as a kid. Like I said, I was a musician. So when theater just all of a sudden opened up, I entrenched myself. So I know that when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, my favorite decade is the 80s." And I'm kind of like, "Oh, well, I was listening to, Carousel and, Big River." And I miss that. So my era was 70s. I think I grew up on 70s music. And I know that there's a difference in our ages, but I remember listening to the radio a lot, when I was little. But then as I got older and I started into theater, I left that. I just left that. And
yeah, I discovered theater in the 90s.
Okay, well that's not too far. Now, did you perform? Or were you on stage? Did you do plays or musicals or?
I did do plays. I was an acting major in New York, actually. So
come on, tell me about that. What did you do? Tell me some of your roles.
No, because they're not. They're not. It's not a part of my life anymore. So it's like, yeah.
What was your favorite role you played?
I don't ever think I really found it. I think it was really hard for me, and that's it's probably why I never pursued it. I was in New York. I went to school at NYU, and I was an acting major, and I think it's to no fault of anybody, but I feel like my instructors had a hard time to know what to do with me, and I went through like a lot of ups and downs with the process of learning and getting better at this craft. So I can't say that, it brought me a lot of joy to be in New York. I would never go back and look at it with regret, but it was very challenging. So, I remember one of my acting teachers wanted me to just watch a bunch of Harrison Ford movies because he didn't like the sound of my voice and he didn't like how I spoke and things. And I was just kind of like, I just don't know how that sits well with me. And because I have a lower voice part when I sing, all of my vocal teachers wanted me to sing a lot of these, in my mind, these Oscar and Hammerstein like butch roles. And when I was 17, 18 years old, I was anything but butch.
Mm.
Right. And I was like 30 pounds thinner. So it was just I was just very awkward.
How long did you do it?
2 years.
That was it?
Yeah.
Where did that take you after that? Where'd you go? How did you end up in Palm Springs?
I left New York because I couldn't finish school. So I moved back to my hometown, which is Southern California. And I lived in Orange County. Mm-hmm. And, when I was in school in New York, I was pretty much almost supporting myself. So I had a lot of jobs. And so one of my jobs was working at the Gap, which I enjoyed. I loved it. Who doesn't like khakis and matching socks? But, I ended up moving to Orange County, and I thought I was just taking a leave of absence because of the financial issue I ran into, to not be able to go back to school. I just decided I was going to take a year off. But that year off that I was taking ended up turning into just not going back at all, because I just started working in retail and fashion. And that became a career for 20 years.
Wow.
So it kind of found me. So I ended up working for major fashion brands such as the Gap, Limited Brands, Guess Jeans. I worked for Victoria's Secret before I retired for 10 years. I did corporate work on an international level. So I got to travel the world at a really young age.
Nice.
And I did a lot of fun things, and I saw a lot of neat things, and I got to go to a lot of great places. And but it was enough. 20 years was enough. So, I did that. I was always based in the West Coast, and I ended up moving to San Francisco for myself. So I lived in San Francisco for 5 years, and of course, I had already fallen in love. But I needed a change of location for myself. So I lived in San Francisco for 5 years. And then when Larry was ready to retire, we moved to the desert.
So when you were in San Francisco, did you do singing out there with the chorus there and any of that?
No, I didn't do any, I didn't do any of that stuff with that career. With that career, I just never had the time to do anything for myself. I felt. So I was, when you're in hospitality or retail, you have to be there when everybody else needs you to be there, right? And you work holidays so other people don't. So, that was the story. I did get to work at Disneyland while I was doing all that. When I was young, I used to dance in parades. That was kind of fun.
Well,
but so that was it. That's what my expensive education and what you gave me. It gave me a slot on Main Street.
Yeah, I mean, were you like Chipper Dale, or were you actually yourself dancing?
With this face, please, they're not putting a mask on this.
You're out and proud. You're going to be right in the front row. That's what I say. Was that fun? Was it just a hoot to do?
I loved it. I loved Disneyland. If I didn't injure myself, I could have been there for a long time. So I would work full time at my store, and then I would drive like 15 minutes to Anaheim for call, and then I would get dressed, and I would do parades, twice a night, 4 nights a week. and working full time. But you know, when you're like in your early 20s, you've got like unlimited energy, right?
Yeah,
You could like drink yourself silly, wake up with 2 hours of sleep and be like, oh, let's do it all over again. So
we could do that back in that time. I have trouble today, just deciding, what can I do for 2 hours before I'm tired? It's crazy. And in the desert, I find, well, the weather has a lot of play into the, just getting lay down and just enjoy the weather or something, so I like it out here. So what brought you here to the desert then? Larry retired?
Larry retired. We didn't want to live in San Francisco. And we moved here, and of course, it wasn't my first choice. I had a lot of preconceived notions of what Palm Springs was.
Had you ever been before?
Yes, I've been a couple of times.
Uh-huh.
And I always felt the same way about it. So I was much younger though. So I mean, of course, I had like these different. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
What didn't you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Was it just the fact that it was older, or?
Well, my husband is older, so I am in what they would call a gap relationship. Larry is 30 years older than I am. So I mean, it wasn't that. It's just that I felt like there wasn't a lot to do. The heat wasn't really an issue either. I just kind of was worried because I grew up in Los Angeles. I went to school in Manhattan. I lived in San Francisco. And even though we were retiring, I wasn't sure if Palm Springs was going to do it for me. I remember he asked me, and I said, well, why do you want to go there? And then I said something which people could find offensive now, so I'm not going to say it.
Oh.
I'm not going to
Go
say
ahead.
it.
No one's listening this early.
Well, I said, well, why do you want to live in Palm Springs? This is where all the old gays go to die. It's like an elephant's graveyard for homosexuals. So, I mean, like, come on. It's like, why? Why there? Is it time? Is it that time already for us to go? But here's the thing. We moved to the desert. We actually lived in La Quinta for 3 years. So we moved in 2013. Well, we bought the house in 2010, moved full-time 2013. And, I actually love it. I fell in love with it really quickly, actually. The amazing thing is that it allowed me the time to do the things that I was missing out on for all those years, like singing, like cooking, like things like that, and exploring and being and seeing my family more was really important.
Yeah.
I was realizing that having such a busy life didn't allow me a lot of time to consider what was missing in my life that might have been important. And I remember visiting my family, and I was talking to my niece and nephew, and they were kind of like looking at me like as I was this stranger, and that really bothered me. It was like a moment of reflection, which is like, I could continue doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But this is what's going to not be in my life. And I just didn't want that. And I had the opportunity to jump ship, so I did. So we retired, and I'm happy here in the desert, and I love it.
Well, obviously, did you're working, am I right? I mean, you got a job still? I mean, you didn't.
I did. I changed careers. So I didn't stay.
I love.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't stay retired for long, which was good.
No one
and I started going through the bucket list of things that I hadn't fulfilled. Yeah, and massage was one of them. So I went to massage school. I didn't have any expectation of it being a career. Going back to school was really nice. And it has turned into a new career, and a successful one for me at that. And I'm a teacher now. So I'm an instructor.
So where do you for massage? Where do you teach that at?
at Somatherapy Institute School of Massage in Rancho Mirage.
So, yeah.
You won't get me, but you'll
Well,
you'll get somebody.
I've asked many times if you would rub me, and we just haven't had that happen yet. But I would love to get a massage from my friend Doug Wong, wouldn't you? I mean, look at him; he's just amazing, and he needs a perfectly legit massage.
Very.
Uh,
It has to be. It has to be.
You know,
I'm a teacher.
I support. Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. I support you in anything you do. You know, I love hearing you sing. You and I have sung together in some small groups, and just we've had so much fun. I miss that a lot, doing kind of the smaller groups. But you know, singing in or anything right now out here in the desert, everything's taken such a turn, obviously, through the pandemic, and things are starting to resurface again. And you know, we're going to start singing again together, which I'm looking forward to. I have missed it, and so your life brought you to Palm Springs, and I felt the same way you did at first. Like, why are we going there? Why do you want to uproot me from Chicago, where you know we were involved in everything? I look back now, it was a great break to come and really not have anything. But then we got entrenched here. It's very easy to get involved in a lot of things in Palm Springs. It really is. And then I think we oversaturated ourselves with that. And I want to just stick to, and the pandemic made me realize I want to stick to the stuff that I really get a lot of enjoyment out of and things I like to do. And I should really just focus on that and not try to be everything to everyone in every organization. So I try to support those that I can, and but it's a different way of living currently. I'm working remotely now, which you know
Yeah.
I've had a career that I've always been in the office, and I've never done. You know, I do finance work, and I've done that my whole life. It certainly is not like my passion, but it's a way to make money. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right. But we both have a history for working for companies that are all about making everybody happy, right? And that's like part of that mission statement of these companies that we've worked for, because I know your work history, and it's about like pleasing everyone, like everyone all the time, and no excuses.
It's a good feeling that you know you're working for a company that has that, you know, as a foundation or on their mission statements, you know, and I'm proud to be a part of it. But you know, boy oh boy, if I could just do something else at some point. But I'm going to do it until I can't do it anymore out here. So because you know jobs out here are, you know, tough to get sometimes, depending on what you do, you know. But I like that you're such a chameleon, and you're just like, oh, I'm going to go over here now and become this, and I'm going to just fit in over here. And I really respect you for like going back to school and doing that. You've had quite the patchwork of things in your life that
I do, and you know, and I'm not even done yet. I'm not even done yet.
love hearing.
Yeah, and I'm really fortunate to have love in my life and to have opportunities to explore, and to do things that you know, to satisfy my curiosity, right?
Yeah.
I'm a naturally curious person anyway, you know. A good friend of mine that I recently saw a couple of weeks ago, we have similar personalities. Like, oh, you and I are the same. We like to interrogate people. I said, well, I never thought about it that way, but I guess we kind of, but it's not because, you know, I'm being malicious about it. I'm naturally curious. I you know, I ask a lot of questions. I go deep. I go fast. I go hard. I like to get right to the point. Not that works all the time, but you know.
No, but I, you know, I'm the same way. I don't like to waste the time. I get right in to talk about what I want to do or what I want to know, and that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. So if you were on a desert island now, like if you were allowed to bring 2 CDs,
you and the music,
2 movies,
Okay, 2 movies.
What would be your, honey, I am musical. Look
Well,
at,
we need to bring a CD player.
okay. The island furnishes that. Like
The
what,
island provided.
what are like give me 2 of your favorite movies that you just love watching and you could watch a lot.
Mm. This is where you're gonna have to edit. Otherwise, you're going to like see
No,
me think.
I like uncomfortable silence. I like that. I'll play the Jeopardy music during this.
Ooh, oh, movies. Well, I really like heavy duty dramas, like heavy duty dramas, and I really like sci-fi too. But if it's only two, then I need to have something that doesn't spiral me down to an emotional
Oh,
vortex.
no, we don't want that.
But I one of the most influential movies of my life was a movie called Farewell My Concubine. It is a Chinese film, and it has the late Leslie Cheung in it, and it was very influential for me because it's a love story, but it's also a LGBTQ story, and it connects with my heritage of my ancestry of Chinese, and it's also a coming out story, and it's just all these layers to this, and it's theatrical. It's such a theatrical a story because these two childhood friends, they grow up together in I believe it's a Beijing opera group, and they spend their entire lives training, and of course one of them falls in love with his peer, who it doesn't feel the same way, and of course they go through the Cultural Revolution together. I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this movie. If you've never seen it,
I've heard it, so or did I just understand concubine? I'm not sure.
You see me, you say concubine.
I'm surprised you're not in your kimono. I don't know what that is.
Well, I wore this for you.
Well, I'm so glad you put clothes
colorful.
on. I'm glad you put clothes on.
So there's that movie. I might have spent too much time like explaining it, but I love that movie. I love The Shining. I love The Shining.
I've never seen it. I want to, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, I love The Shining. I love Blade Runner. I love all of the Indiana Jones movies, except for the Crystal Skull. I'm not sure about that one. I'm a big Star Trek fan. The new Dune movie is coming out in October, so I'm very excited to see that. But I even liked the Kubrick version. I was fine with that. I'll do it. Yeah, CDs. I just don't know. I don't know what I would bring.
No favorite artist, or you just really love listening to a certain person? And, no, that's all right. Well,
I'm gonna make room for something else. something that I can cook with. Like my wok. So instead of my 2 CDs, can I bring my wok?
What was the last meal you made?
Of significance, I love noodles, so I made ramen.
Is that the stuff you buy in the little box or the little bag?
No, I made it from scratch.
You make your noodles from scratch too?
I don't make pasta from scratch. I'm not a pasta maker, but the soup, all the stuff that goes with it, the pork belly, and all that stuff, I will make it.
Well, that's nice. I love cooking, but as I'm getting older though, it's like I'm just cooking for 2 of us because we haven't had dinner parties, we haven't,
Right, right, right.
That's,
And you guys are entertainers too, so.
well, we were. I mean, we haven't had anything since we moved into our new home, but we love it. Things are opening up, so expect an invite soon. You've been over before, so but not to the new,
Not the new place, not the new place,
not the new place.
not the new place.
We're looking forward to doing that. So what's coming up right now for you? What are you doing? Just continuing to work? You got any projects you're working on that people?
Teaching. I will be teaching in the, starting next week again. And of course, we're preparing for our concert, which will be on Gay Pride weekend, first weekend of November. So I'm excited to sing this. I'm excited to sing the commission.
It's really great. I hope,
Yeah.
I really hope people can come over that time to see us, because it's a brilliant piece of work that they've created.
It is. It speaks to me. I think, I don't think, I know it's relevant for today. It's not provoking for me, and I know it, and I know a lot of the guys love it. So I hope people can come and experience it. So those are things I'm looking forward to. I think it's important to do things that are meaningful.
Yeah.
And that also serve the community. And this happens to be one of those things. So I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud to be a part of it.
I think you and I, we're very lucky to be working with that group. Modern Men is who I'm referring to, and under the direction of, Stan is so amazing. He really makes me want to learn more about it, and he's a good teacher, and I think that the group sounds so good, and I'm really proud to be a part of it too. So I'm anxious for people to come and see this. I mean, Palm Springs offers a lot of things to a lot of people. We have a lot of theater groups. We have a lot of choruses in town, and performing chorales and stuff. And I'm happy that I found Modern Men, and I'm glad that you're there too.
There is a lot. There is a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're a person of color watching this, consider joining an arts group here in the desert, because we need you.
Adds to that fabric, as I say always. And well, it is important to be. I love the diversity of this town in general, and but we really, I think it's important that we do that. And I'm so grateful that you said you would sit and chat with me today, because I did learn a lot more about you than I didn't know, and that's because we don't ever have the time sometimes just to sit back and just chew the crap out of it. So it's fun.
I know, and there's so much more too, right? There's like so much more than this time is allowing. But this was really fun. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I really hope people have gotten to know a little bit more about my dear friend Doug Wong, who you can find, I guess, at any massage parlor. Does that occupy most of your days? Is that you're either teaching or rubbing? I mean,
I'm teaching, rubbing, singing.
Who doesn't like that?
Who doesn't like that?
Well, thank you so much, sweetie, for spending some time with me. You know how much I adore you, and I hope everyone has gotten to know a little bit more about my friend Doug Wong. Thanks, Doug.
It's been a pleasure.
All right.